When the Sinclairs came to New York in 1888, they had not quite left the South, for they stayed at first for a year or two in a Southern hotel on West 19th Street. It is described in Love's Pilgrimage as inhabited by musty phantoms of the dead Southern past. Old ladies who were proud and prim, and old gentlemen who were quixotic and humorous. Young ladies who were belles, and young gentlemen who aspired to be blades. It was a world that would have made happy the soul of any writer of romances. But to Thyrsis, this dead aristocracy cried aloud for burial. There was an incredible amount of drunkenness and of debauchery scarcely hidden. There was pretense strutting like a peacock, and avarice skulking like a hound. There were jealousy and base snobbery and raging spite, and a breath of suspicion and scandal hanging like a poisonous cloud over everything. These people came and went, an endless procession of them. They laughed and danced and gossiped their way through the boy's life, and unconsciously he judged them and hated them and feared them. Most of them were poor, not an honest poverty, but a sham and artificial poverty, the inability to dress as others did, and to lose money at bridge and poker and pay the costs of their self-indulgences. As for Thyrsis and his parents, they always paid what they owed, but they were not always able to pay it when they owed it, and they suffered all the agonies and humiliations of those who did not pay at all. There was scarcely over a week when this canker of want did not gnaw at them. Their life was one endless and sordid struggle to make last year's clothing look like new, and to find some boarding house that was cheaper and yet respectable. There was endless wrangling and strife and worry over money, and every year the task was harder, the standards lower, the case more hopeless. And now the boy went formally to school for the first time, an East Side school, and played rowdily about the streets of New York with his schoolmates, to whom he was familiarly known as Chappie. He was able to do 2 years' work in one, and at the age of 12 had finished grammar school. But because he was too young to enter college, he had nothing better to do in the meantime than take the last year of grammar school over again. The fates took pity on him, he says of himself in The Goose Step, and gave him as teacher for that year a jolly Irish gentleman, so full of interest in his boys that he did not keep the rules. If you wanted to ask him questions, you asked, and without first raising your hand. You might even get into an argument with him, as with any boy, and if he caught you whispering to your neighbor, his method of correcting you was novel, but highly effective. He would let fly a piece of chalk at your head, and you would grin, and the class would howl with delight. A collection of 100 or 200 books, given him by aunts and uncles and cousins on Christmases and birthdays, he left with the school, where it became the foundation of a class library, to the delight of the boys and the Irish teacher, so that he left school in a blaze of glory. His school life, though he was found a sufficiently apt pupil, was not all so satisfying, nor by any means so unconventional as in these instances. But it was too late for him to be really amenable to the social pressures of the schoolroom and the schoolyard. He was an individual, cherishing his own secret dreams. Though he played with other boys, he had no chums, no real friends. Where, as he asks in Love's Pilgrimage of Thyrsis, should he meet people who knew what he knew about life? Where in all the world should he meet them, save in the books of great men in times past?